Thursday. Hope you guys are having a great week. Again, like Rachel said, like Carly said, man, we can't speak tonight. It's fine. Like Carly said, my name's Rachel. I'm a lifetime one-star diamond coach, and actually just got the word that I'm a Success Club All-Star legend as well, which is super cool. Which, if you're not sure what that means, just means I've been in SC for 24 months. I'm a small town girl just outside of Saskatoon, and my boyfriend and I own an acreage, and we're living the life out here. It's amazing. I'm also a medical lab technologist at the hospital here in Saskatoon, and I just recently dropped down to part-time, which is what I'm here to talk to you guys about a bit today, because if it wasn't for this business, I wouldn't have been able to unlock this freedom of time. But before I dive into that and how I got to this point in my life, I want to share a little bit of a backstory with you guys. So my coaching journey, well, it began 4 years ago. I signed up as a coach, and I think I was a discount coach for 2 years. I didn't dive into the business side of things till January of 2020. And I'm sure, like all of you here, my journey began with a program that changed my health and my wellness and my overall mindset. But what I didn't realize at that moment, that that was just the beginning. I had no idea it was going to change the entire trajectory of my entire life. Like, I had no idea. It was actually pre-pandemic when I decided to start coaching. I went to an Upline's Christmas party that they had hosted. And that was the moment that I realized that I wanted to actually step into this business and unlock the freedom of time that I saw each and every one of them living in person. I saw it on social media, which was great. But once you saw it and like connected to it, like felt that with them and the energy, it was like, okay, this is for real. And it was like almost reassuring to myself that this was an actual business, that people were able to make a living from being the best version of themselves and helping others live happier, healthier lives, that sort of thing. And I always remember thinking like, oh, I love helping others. I've just been that type of person, but I never really knew what my calling was until I dove into it. And I remember thinking, I've worked at the hospital for 4 years as a full-time lab tech, and I was utterly exhausted, constantly running back and forth from the city, no downtime for family, unable to watch my nephews when I wanted, spend time with friends, or having to work ridiculous hours just to do so. And I didn't really see myself living at the hospital for the rest of my life, because that's what I was doing. I was living there, 7-day stretches, 8-day stretches, 12-day stretches. Like, I was just always at the hospital, and I didn't want to be in the position that a lot of my coworkers were in: miserable, unhappy, not living a fulfilling life, not going after their dreams. I just really didn't want to do that for the rest of my life. I wanted freedom of time. I wanted to be recognized for my hard work. I want to be treated well by other coworkers or community. And so once I saw the potential in this business, and I saw this community literally lift people out of their darkest moments in their life, I dove in. That's what fueled me from the beginning, was the community, the accountability, the support, the recognition, the appreciation for you showing up for yourself and helping others do the same. Like, that was incredible. I have never felt that type of recognition at all. And like, healthcare is great, but you don't see that from, I'm sure lots of you, if you're in other types of work, you don't see that recognition quite as often. So I remember January 2020, I reached out to my coach and I was like, okay, Kirst, what do I have to do and how can I get to where I want to be? And she happily helped me. Again, this isn't to say she didn't try help me when I first signed up as a coach, but I had to decide for myself what I wanted in my life. And I had to have a clear vision of what this business meant to me, my life, my future, and make that decision for myself. I remember writing out at the top of my planner, at the top of my notebooks, that for 2 years, I wanted to be part-time at the hospital and part-time at home. That was the first step in my business. And I really had to get a clear vision and purpose for where I wanted to go and how Beachbody was going to be that vehicle to get me to where I needed to be. And this one's a big one that I know often gets pushed aside, myself included, because we get caught up in the hustle that we forget why we're doing this, which seems crazy. But having that honest conversation with yourself, asking yourself the hard questions, is what I'm doing today going to move you forward to where you want to be? It's a conversation I had to have with myself last year, that we can absolutely have the things that we want in life and have the big goals and have the big dreams, and we're allowed to go after them. We're not stuck in one place. We're not a tree. We're allowed to freaking grow. So I had this conversation with myself, but I also shared them with the people around me. Having clear communication with my spouse, with my family, with my friends, with my coworkers, with my team at the time, which wasn't very big, but where I wanted to go and why this was so important. I really had to understand also what I had to do and what actions needed to be taken to get there, and who I needed to become to achieve these goals. Insert personal growth and really tapping into filling my cup first. So keep that vision clear, my friends. Keep it crystal clear and use it as a catalyst in your business and just go for it. So after having a clear vision of like, okay, this is where I want to go, what do I do next? And I remember going through training after training 2 or 3 times through, because I had to get a real understanding of what this business was going to do and how it was going to help me. And I get it, it's overwhelming at first, but I just started where I was and I learned along the way. I was willing to learn new things, trying new things out, get a bit outside my comfort zone, talking on my stories, that sort of thing that felt really scary at first, because I knew that if I would have stayed in that same spot, I wasn't going to grow. Because we all know this, we don't grow inside of our comfort zone. And it's always scary as hell to take that first step. So when I finally had an understanding of what I needed to do to get where I wanted to go, I started to implement the trainings that I was taking. And I can give you a brief walkthrough of what a typical day looks like as a full-time lab tech and part-time coach, and what I did to prioritize myself. But also just know that each of us learn and coach differently. So this is just some tidbits of information of what worked for me, but take what you need and what would be beneficial for your life, but just know that you are in control of your business. You are your brand. And that's honestly the best thing about this business. So number one thing that's worked for me, and I'm sure we've heard this before, but plan. You gotta plan your week. If you're full-time, working part-time, or even if you're a stay-at-home mama and you are busy with kids, planning takes out the stress and the mess and puts it onto paper for yourself. I think entirely my business took off because I was planning and prepping, but also prioritizing what needed to be done in a day. Time blocking is my freaking jam, y'all, my freaking jam. Highly recommend an hourly planner. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. I think I got my first one from Indigo, but I now use the Erin Condren hourly planner, and it just takes the guesswork out, and it's so satisfying. I don't know, maybe just for me, but it's so satisfying to see it all laid out for you. At the beginning of each month, I also write out my schedule at the hospital, when I worked, what hours I worked, what was going on in the Beachbody world, getting the resources from our uplines, the national wake up call, when the next coach sneak peeks were, what trainings, and if I could hop on live work sessions, or when I could take part of some recordings. Because I remember my first power hour I ever did was a recording because I had no idea where to start. And when those are all scheduled into my monthly planner, I schedule in my week. I time block in my workouts, I time block in my personal development, my work schedule, my power hours, and I plan out my downtime. We need to do this. I remember when I first started, I did not do this, and I burnt out, 100% burnt out, because I never planned in my downtime and I was always turned on, but we cannot be turned on all the time. It just is not fun. 100% is not fun. But just like any other business in the world, we have days off on the weekend. With our business of running our own business, we have to take time to rest. We have to take time to spend with your family, take time to just be present. It's so important. And I've started doing that once a week. Saturdays are my days that I just take off. And it's just like, I'll post on social media, maybe here and there, but I don't honestly do any work on Saturdays. So make sure you're just taking time for yourself and your family when you need to. And like, it did take me a while to figure this out, because I love working this business. I love it because it doesn't feel like work, and it just can continue on and continue going, but you have to it's needed to enjoy the process as well. And like to go into the work I did, you guys have gone through the power hours, I'm sure, but my work sessions varied and still vary to this day. I sometimes work for an hour straight, or I'll work in 15-minute increments, but nonetheless, my non-negotiables get done every single day other than Saturdays now. But that was just something boundary I set for myself. But I knew this was vital from the very beginning. And I know we hit home a ton about these vital behaviors, but for good reason. And they're going to be what moves your needle forward, from showing up and sharing your journey to connecting with the people in front of you, to your followers, inviting them, following up with them. Those are all key. Your story matters. And when you're connecting with somebody on social media and they're like, yeah, I saw that in your story the other day, like that impacts myself, but it also was impacting somebody else. And that is just an incredible feeling. If you can impact one person because of that, y'all know that feeling. It's amazing. It's an incredible feeling. So I just like get really passionate about that, because I just feel like everybody deserves to feel good and have this community and create friendships like this, because I would not be where I am or know the people I know without this community. I wouldn't be speaking on a team call tonight if it wasn't for this business and this community. But anyways, back to the work I was doing to get to where I am. Our vital behaviors are taught to us for a reason. Our tracker is laid out perfectly, honestly. I won't go into behind how to do all those because we have an understanding, but I don't do anything out of the ordinary. I don't have time to. I still don't have time to. I really don't know how I'm still so busy, but I just am busy in different ways now. It's amazing. But I didn't have time to when I was a full-time lab tech. I didn't have time to go extra above and beyond. I stuck to the behaviors that were simple, the simple invites, the connections that I did for 10 minutes at a time. I kept it simple, I kept it fun, and I stayed consistent with them. One thing that's maybe allowed me to stay consistent with these behaviors was the energy that I brought to these work sessions. Most of my work was done in the evenings, still is done in the evenings, or sometimes I do it on the breaks when I'm at work, because Lordy knows I don't want to talk about the weather. I'm sorry, whoever you are. I don't want to talk about the weather outside. I'm going to do something that's going to move my business forward today. So 90% I sit by myself at lunch, because, well, not at lunch, at breaks, because I want to take advantage of the time that I have, and I can talk to them all day, if I'm being honest. But anyways, I bring the energy behind my work. And when you sit down to get your work done, ask yourself how you're feeling. What energy you're bringing to your work. If you're feeling distracted or you don't have the energy to work, grab your favorite drink, grab a sparkling water with a half a scoop of Energize, a few healthy snacks, or somebody to work with. We have all of these live power hours that we can jump on now that are amazing. And that's where I learned all of my vital behaviors from. We are a community for a reason, so lean the freak into that. Having someone to keep you focused, even if it's like music playing back and forth, just makes a world of a difference. You keep each other accountable, you learn new tips, you new tricks, social media hacks, whatever, you learn together, which is huge because it's always changing. But I think the biggest impact in my business, and what was the moment, like, I went from, this is just a side hustle, like this is just something that I'm doing for fun right now, to this is a business, and it's damn time I start treating it like one. And that's when the needle started moving. My challenge groups, they started small. My community started small. We all start small. We start with 1 or 2 people, and that's huge. You're impacting 1 or 2 people. That's amazing. And that was empowering. I had a story to share. I wanted to help others feel the same. So I just kept doing it every day, over and over again. And then once our team started growing, I started to create a community of my own. But once you start creating it, that's your team and your community. And when I started to have more conversations about the business and what it meant for people in our community, I had conversations with our team, what this could mean for them and their life and their futures, that they're allowed to have goals, big, small, that they're allowed to go after it. And I'm here for them if they want to. But mostly I didn't push them, but I got them to think outside the box a little bit about what goals they had outside of Beachbody that could help them get there. For instance, I had a coach that told me that they wanted to pay off some debt. And I was just like, okay, cool. So how can Beachbody do that for you? And she's like, oh, okay. I never thought about it like that. She just kind of had the mindset about like, oh, this is, I have to sign so-and-so up and so-and-so up, but this is for her future. She wants to buy a house someday. Like, it's just about having that vision and about the business, and what we really freaking want in life. It's totally your call. So I would host team calls. If I was the only one that showed up, I was the only one that showed up. So I videoed myself talking. We would host team retreats. We would host virtual workouts in the morning, one-on-one calls I would schedule, coach training, sneak peeks to help them go through all of the training that they need, that I went through myself, because I wanted them to feel what I felt. And like I said, community is one of the main reasons I started this business. So I wanted to make sure that I was welcoming them to our community in all aspects: coaching, challenge groups, group chats, community, friendships. And when it comes to creating that community and your team, just be yourself, be authentic to your story and what it is you are passionate about, because every coach is different. But that's the beauty of this business, is that you can take the trainings and put your own flair on them. And that took me some time to figure out, just like anything in this business. It takes trial and error, it takes ebbs and flows, it takes consistency. But it's what in the last 2 years helped our team go from just starting out to 1-star. It's what got our team to be represented at New Leadership Conference in January. It's what's going to allow our team to continue to grow for years to come. And of course, you got to make sure you're still enjoying the work you're doing. And the dirty work sometimes gets, you're like monotonous doing it over and over, but it has to be done. We know that, just like any work, any business, it has to be done. So just make sure you're bringing fun to your daily work. And then in the end, I guess what allowed me to go part-time, it just came down to that main goal, which was to add time. I just wanted more time. I recently just spent a weekend with my nephews, and I was only able to do that because I dropped down to part-time. And I was only able to do that because I worked my business for 2 years consistently. And I showed up every single day, regardless of how I was feeling. And I shared how I was feeling throughout this entire journey with my team, with my crew, with my stories, with my posts, literally just by showing up. And like in the long run, it's worth it. 100% it's worth it. So really, to wrap it up, I'm not going to take too much of your time either, but to wrap it up, what I did to go from full-time to part-time was really just tapping into my vision, staying consistent with my business, and to get where you want to be, and just know that you're able to live the life that you want to, that we're not stuck in one place, and that we're able to go where we want to go and enjoy it for the long haul. You got to have the long-term vision. And I'm sure you've heard this more than once from more than just myself, but I'm just here to say it's doable. Anybody can do it. If a small town Sask girls can do it, I'm pretty sure anybody can do it. We live in the middle of nowhere, man. We got like nothing. So like, this, right? Like we're like, okay, we can build a business. And all I got to say is show up, be focused, do the work, create your vision, be your freaking self, fill your cup, and get outside your comfort zone to help others do the same. I think that's all I have. If anybody has any questions for me, let me know. Or if you want me to talk more about how I run my business, just fire away. I'm an open book. I wasn't looking at the chat, so.
That was great. Can you just go through like what your day looked like when you were working like your full 8 or 12-hour days at the hospital?
Yeah, for sure. So I'll just use this week as an example because we're severely short-staffed at the hospital right now. So I picked up 2 extra shifts this week just to help out. But it was the fact that I got to pick up, like I got to choose to do that. Like that was cool. Anyways, so this week it's been a little bit tight. It's been a little bit crazy. But I wake up in the morning, usually around 4:35. I'm an early bird. I like to get an early start on the day. I work out from 5 to 5:30, 5 to 5:45. I start my day by filling up my cup. And then I will eat my breakfast, either read my personal growth before my workout or after my workout, depending on the time of day, or if I don't snooze, because we know that happens too. And then I will go to work. While I'm at work, I will have my post created from the night before. I always create my post the night before, so I can post it the day next. the next day. I learned that from my coach. Super helpful. And then, so I'll post that usually around the morning time, engage with some people, and then I'll use one of my breaks to post my workout videos. I'll use one of my breaks to answer messages, connect with people, follow up with people. Again, 15 minutes of time here and there, but that's what I use my time for when I'm at work. And then when I get home, I have supper, relax for probably 45 minutes, and then I usually dive into more of the nitty gritty stuff. So checking in with my bod groups, checking in with my current client and crew members. I make a list for tomorrow. I create my post for tomorrow, again, within like half an hour. I don't spend a ton of time on this. If it's half an hour to an hour, I'll sit down for work and do whatever I didn't get done on my list throughout the day. So whether it be follow-ups, whether it be invites to something new. And then, yeah, usually an hour I sit here at my desk or I'll sit on the couch like I did last night, get my work done. Again, I don't have kids, so this might look different for somebody that say had kids or has a different season of life. And then I go to bed and then I get up and I do it all over again. Again, it depends on if I'm working different shift works, then I'll just alter it like differently. Like if I'm working evenings, then I'll start my day a little bit differently and get all my work done before I go to work in the evening. And then if I'm working night shift, I will just like kind of flop my days around essentially. But I don't think I spend more than 1 to 2 hours a day working on my business. And then I just update my stories throughout the day because that's easy. That's the easiest part of this business is updating your stories because 1, it's yourself. 2, it's whatever's on your mind. And 3, it's just your life, a look in your life, right? So I think that's pretty much how I run my business. I'm also currently running a coach sneak peek. So that's a little bit of extra work that I put on myself, but I'm able to do that right now. So I'm also posting in there, engaging with the people that are in there, that sort of thing. So just depending on, I usually focus on 1 to 3 things extra every week. Nothing more, but I keep myself I set some boundaries for myself. So I hope that was answered for me.
Yes, that was great. I think Brittany just posted in the chat. I'll let you read that.
Do you have any advice for getting out of the constant burnout from life? I miss being more involved in Beachbody, but I feel like I'm barely functioning. The thought of being on my phone stresses me out. Okay, so I went through this season of life of August of 2020. I think it was August of 2020. And I was burnt out. And what I had to do is I really had to get crystal clear on my boundaries of 1, my work schedule. Full-time hours are exhausting and I don't work 12 hours. I only work 8 hours, but they're still exhausting in general. But I really had to map out my hours in a day of what's going to bring me joy in my life and what I can do for me in the morning to fill my cup up, because that's where the burnout happens, is when you're not taking care of yourself. And I felt that I wasn't doing personal growth in the month of August of 2020. I wasn't reading. I wasn't listening to podcasts. I wasn't talking to people about how I was feeling. Like, it's so important to, even if you're not talking to someone, but to get your thoughts out on paper and take 15 minutes. I actually recommended this to one of my coaches. We've probably seen this before, but you take a clock and you literally write out what your day looks like in the whatever 12 hours that you're awake, or however long you're awake, 24 hours, what you're doing when you're doing it. And for me, I noticed I was doing a lot of screen time when I didn't have to. When I focus on my screen, it's essentially like almost always when I'm working. It's not to scroll. It's not to do it like that sort of thing. Like I find when I'm scrolling and get stuck in that, that's when my motivation gets lower or my burnout starts happening, because I'm constantly on my phone. Of course, I'm still updating my stories, but I just make sure that I'm being more intentional when I'm on my phone and screen time, that sort of thing, so that when I am sitting down to get my work done, that it is intentional and it is getting work done. But I think number 1 for burnout is just taking care of yourself first, and then really time blocking your day and fitting in your personal development, your me time, your self-care, then scheduling in your power hours. That's literally on our checklist. It's personal growth and your workouts and fueling your body. And those three things are taking care of yourself. And that's something that's so important, is making sure that you feel good first so that you can fill your cup up so that we can fill up other cups, right? So like it's overflowing. We've said that tons of time, and I know it's like the biggest metaphor used always, but it's so true. But just make sure you're taking care of yourself, girl. That's 100%. All right.
That's great. I have one more question. How many times a week do you post, and do you find it beneficial to post like 7 days a week on your story, or however when you post, or what's your kind of posting schedule like? Do you have like specific days where you post meals, workouts, or it's just kind of like willy-nilly, whatever's on your heart?
So when it comes to the posts, I usually I use my planner because I'm a planner. That's just who I am. I'm going to show you because maybe you can see it, maybe you can't, but this was last week, for instance. So I write out Monday to Sunday on the side of my planner, and I will put in what generically I want to talk about in my posts. So for instance, Monday was, I want to talk about my self-love club that I have going on. Tuesday is going to be a reel of some sort. I don't know what reel it's going to be, but it's going to be a reel of some sort. Wednesday was a coaching post. Thursday was a community post and a fun reel, because you can post more than once in one day. Did you know that? we often get so stuck in like, oh, I can only post once in one day. I do anyways. Saturday, I don't post. Like if I don't post on Saturday, I'll post on Sunday. If I post on Saturday, I don't post on Sunday. It's just honestly, it's like my weekends vary depending on what I'm doing that weekend. And my weekend posts are 90% about what I'm doing outside of Beachbody, about something that I did that weekend, about how I'm feeling going into a new week. Like it literally has nothing to do with my community or my wellness club, because that's where you can create more connection with people, is if they get to really know what you're doing outside of Beachbody, right? And then if I'm posting on Sunday, it'll just be an update from the weekend. And then Monday start all over again, usually something fitness related, something community related. I've recently just really found my niche, and my niche is helping people get started on their health and wellness journey and feel good in their body and mind through personal growth and strength training. So my posts, when I'm posting, are about fitness. They're about personal growth. They're about confidence. They're about things that I've learned, and it's really brought a lot of more people to me because I'm really niching down to that. And this is going to be like a sponsor for Jamie Wilmot, but if you ever get the chance to take Jamie Wilmot's Confident Content course, 100%, it's worth the money. It's worth the investment. She really helped me dive into creating content, posting based on as a woman, your cycle, and really listening to that all. And it was amazing. She would just open up my whole world. But she's a genius on social media. If you don't follow her, she's a genius. It's amazing. But I really learned a lot from her. And again, planning my posts, planning my content, batching my content on a Sunday or a Monday or whatever. It takes like half an hour, you guys, to make 5 reels. You just like change your outfits and throw some other things on. It's really fun. It's easy. I will like sit here and Jesse's like, you're changing again? I'm like, yeah, I gotta make a reel for like Tuesday. You're just like, hold on, like leave me alone. But no, it really takes the guesswork out when you prep and plan them. And I do that. And it really depends, again, how I'm feeling. I'll have 6 or 7 batched reels in my drafts. And I'm like, what do I want to post today? How am I feeling today? Okay, let's post this one and create a caption for it. And a lot of the time my coaches will come to me, Rachel, I don't know how to caption anything. Like, how do you find words? And I'm like, I don't find words. I'm literally the worst person with words in the world. Personal growth, 100% is where I get my inspiration from. And I will also go to inspiration from top coaches and look at their content, and just like, I don't take what they're saying, but I'll use their reel or whatever and swing it and put it on how I'm feeling in my life. Like just really tapping into how you're feeling. Like today, for instance, my reel, I don't know if you could go check it out if you want to, but I took it from a top coach. I don't even know her. I just seen her on Instagram. I was just like, cool, I'm just going to take this content, but I'm going to flip it and do it for what feels good for my business and my brand. But really just diving into what feels good for you too. So yeah, I hope that answered your question. I talk a lot too, so don't mind me.
That was great. I love it. Does anybody else have any other questions for Rachel? No. Okay, let's take a quick boomerang and then I'll let you go. Brittany's trying to put her kiddo to bed and she's on
Thanks for
here.
hopping on.
And yeah, thank you everybody for joining. Okay. It's going to be a boomerang, so you can feel free to do whatever your heart desires. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Dope.
Perfect.
Nice robe, Danielle. I love it. You look comfy as fuck.
All about the comfort.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, well, Rachel and I are going to mastermind now because we have something fun coming up for you guys. So we're going to stay on. And thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much, Rachel, for delivering that content. And I appreciate all of you for showing up. So have a wonderful Thursday night, and we will see you on our morning crew tomorrow morning. Good night. Thanks, friend. That was great. You're muted.
Do you want to stop recording?
Oh, shit. I guess so.